When you're trying to learn InDesign's animation tools, a great resource is the Animation Encyclopedia script that comes with InDesign. When you run the script, it creates examples of many different kinds of animation effects that you can learn and be inspired from. So let's check it out. To run the Animation Encyclopedia script, we need to open the Scripts panel by going to Window, Utilities, Scripts. Then inside the panel, open the Application folder and the Samples folder, and then we'll open JavaScript and choose Animation Encyclopedia.jsx. We'll double-click it to run the script. And I'll close the panel. When the script is done, it's created a new document, added several pages to it, and placed many different animated objects on the pages, along with labels that identify each one. I'll go to the first page of the document, which is called Animation Properties. It's set up to show me examples of each of these 7 properties. Now I want to see what these animations can do, so I'll open my Swift Preview panel nice and large and click the play button. Then I can click anywhere on the page in the Preview panel to play these animations one by one. I'm going to hold down Option or Alt and click on the play button again to replay the preview. And let's see those again. Motion Path allows me to move an object on the page. Rotation allows me to spin or turn an object. With Opacity, I can fade an object in or out. With Scale, I can make an object grow or shrink in size. Combination combines the effects of all 4, so I'm moving, rotating, scaling, and fading an object all at once. Color Fade transitions from one fill color to another. And Motion Path with Curve shows that we don't have to move objects along straight lines if we don't want to. Let's close the Swift Preview panel and see how these examples were made. I'll click on the Motion Path example, and I can see this long green line here. This is the motion path, indicating where the rectangle will move. It has an arrowhead at the end and little dots all along it to indicate how long it will take the object to move along each portion of the path. So the motion path is showing me the distance, direction, and time. At the bottom of the page, I have Motion Path with Curve, which is the exact same as the top one, except this motion path was edited to be a curved path instead of a straight one. And we'll get into working with motion paths later on in more detail. If I select Rotation, I can see that it has the same motion path as the first example. So where's the rotation coming from? If I open the Animation panel and click on Properties, I can see down here, Rotation 270 degrees. So this rectangle has been set to rotate 270 degrees in addition to the movement along the path. I'll click on Opacity. Opacity combines the movement along the motion path with a custom change in opacity to fade out the object, which I can see down here. I'll select Scale, and I can see that this object is going to scale down in size to 20% width and height. I'll select Combination. And Combination is doing a lot of things. It's got a motion path, it's rotating negative 270 degrees, it's scaling differently in width and in height, and it's changing its opacity. I'll select Color Fade, and this is my favorite here because it's a good example of the kind of creative thinking you can employ with animations. There's nothing inside InDesign's animation tools that would let you do this kind of fade or dissolve from one color fill to another. But the person who created this file figured out that if they used 2 objects stacked one on top of the other, they could change the opacity of each to make the color change over time. So if I move this rectangle a little bit, I can see that there are actually 2 objects here, a purple one and a blue one. During this animation, the blue rectangle fades in and the purple rectangle fades out, so we get a mix of their colors. Let's go to page 2, which gives us some examples of animation events. An event is something that triggers the animation to play. So without events, there would be no animations. They'd be present in the file, but they'd never play. The first event is on-page load. So as soon as the page is loaded into the window, the animation will start. If I look at this page in the Swift Preview panel, by pressing Command-Shift-Return or Control-Shift-Enter, I can see that that animation started immediately. The next event is on-page click. So this one didn't play immediately when I loaded the page into the Swift Preview panel. I have to click to play it. And I can click anywhere on the page. The next is on-click self. Here I need to actually click on the object itself, not just anywhere on the page. And each time I click the object, the animation will play again. The next is on rollover self. Here I don't need to click, just move my cursor over the object. If I move my cursor away and then back again, the animation will replay. With on button event, I trigger the animation by clicking another object that's been converted to a button. Each time I click the green rectangle, which has been converted to a button, the animation will play. And the final one, on state load of multi-state object, is a little more involved. In this case, each time I click on the button, I go to a different state of a multi-state object, and the shape of the purple object changes as it rotates. If I close the Swift Preview panel and select the purple rectangle and go to my Object States panel, I can see that this is simple MSO multi-state object, and it has 3 states, one where it's a rectangle, one where it's an oval, and one where it's a triangle. And if I select the green button and go to my Buttons and Forms panel, I can see that the event onClick is to go to the next state of simple MSO. Now you might be wondering where these events were set for some of these objects. The answer is in the Animation panel. If I select the first one, On Page Load, and go to the Animation panel, I can see right here, Event, On Page Load. I can set the event from this pop-up menu by clicking on the event name. So I can choose On Page Load, On Page Click, On Click Self, or On Rollover Self, or On Button Event. Note that I don't have to click on this tiny triangle over on the right. I can just click on the name of the event. Also, did you notice this tiny S here? It's not event, it's events, meaning that you can have more than one event that will trigger an animation. And when you do this, any of them will cause the animation to play. This is important to remember since it makes it easy to accidentally apply more than one event when you just want it to change from one event to another. For example, if I wanted to change this one from on-page load to on-page click, you might think, oh, I'll just select on-page click. But now look, there are 2 events that will trigger this animation, both on-page load and on-page click. So to take on-page load off, I need to select it again from the menu. Now the only event for this animation is on-page click. Let's go to the next page and continue exploring. This page is called Additional Animation Properties and Settings, and these samples will show us the effect of setting properties like duration and speed, which in animation really means the change in speed, the play value, which is the number of times the animation will play when it's triggered, and in the second column, we have things like hide until animated, hide after animating, and changes in the origin. So let's preview this page and look at how each of these properties affects an animation. Here I have a slow duration, a fast duration, changes in speed, changes in the number of times an animation plays. I have an animation that was hidden until it started, an animation that disappears after it's done, and changes in the origin point. And go to the next page in the document. I'll close the Swift Preview panel. I'll open up the Animation panel again and select one of these. Now these examples show us the differences in the Animate menu. So there's 3 choices here, from current appearance, to current appearance, and to current location. From current appearance means that this is the starting point and some change in the appearance will occur. To current appearance means that this is what the object will look like at the end of the animation and it will look like something else at the start. To current location means the object will start out somewhere else and end up here. So let's preview this. The next page shows how we can use the timing panel to control the order and timing of multiple animations. If I open the timing panel, I can see that these animations have been linked into 3 groups, A, B, and C. Linking animations is how you make them play together. You can also set delays on each animation to precisely control when it starts. If I look in the A group, there are no delays set on here. The value is always 0. But in the B group, there are delays. So B1 will start 1 second after the A animations finish, B2 will start half a second after B1, and B3 will start 1 second after B2. Also, if I click to the left of any of the animation names, I can select the entire group. So in this case, I can see that the B group has been set to loop the animations, so they'll play over and over. And the C animations will play twice with a 1/4 second delay between them. Let's preview this page. And I'll close the Swift Preview panel one more time and go to the next page. This last page shows something that's possible when you use a script to control InDesign's animation tools. So let's preview it. There's a lot going on here. Changes in position, rotation, shape, and opacity are all applied to the same object. Unfortunately, this is beyond what you can do just inside InDesign. You or someone else would have to write a script to create this kind of animation. So in one way, it's kind of a tease, but it's good that it's in here, just so you know that it's possible to do this kind of thing with the help of a script. Overall, there's a lot to grasp when you're first learning how to use InDesign's animation tools, and the Animation Encyclopedia script can really help you understand the different options and how things work.